What if I told you that one of the most powerful medicines for high blood sugar is not found in a pharmacy, but can be grown right in your own backyard? And what if I told you that doctors are absolutely shocked by the results their patients are getting just by eating it? Welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about a true garden miracle. It is a plant often called the white medicine. We are talking about white bitter melon. Now wait a minute. I know what you are thinking. You hear the word bitter, and you immediately want to click away. You might have tried the green version before and felt like you were chewing on a toxic leaf. But hold on. I promise you something amazing today. We are looking at a specific white variety that has all the blood sugar fighting power, but with the bitter taste completely sucked out. It is crisp, mild, and actually delicious. By the end of this video, you will know the exact secret to growing an endless supply of this natural medicine at home, even if you have never planted a seed in your life. But here is my question for you before we start. Do you think a simple garden vegetable can really replace expensive supplements? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and let us dive into the truth. To truly understand why this plant is causing such a massive stir in the health and gardening communities, we need to look back at history. For thousands of years, traditional healers in Asia, India, and South America have used the standard green bitter melon to treat diabetes and digestive issues. It has always been respected as a powerful natural healer. Modern science eventually caught up and discovered exactly why. The plant contains active substances that mimic human insulin. But there has always been one giant, unavoidable problem: the taste. The green variety is aggressively bitter. It is so intense that many people simply refuse to eat it, no matter how sick they are. It was a medicine that felt like a punishment. Then, horticulturists began working on a solution. Through years of careful natural selection and traditional crossbreeding, they developed the white bitter melon. This was a monumental breakthrough. They managed to retain all the incredible medicinal compounds while significantly dialing back the harsh flavor profile. Today, this white variety is becoming highly sought after. However, you will rarely find it in your local grocery store. It is considered a specialty crop. That is exactly why learning to grow it yourself is not just a fun hobby, but a brilliant step toward taking control of your own health. Let us start by breaking down exactly what makes this white vegetable such a medical marvel. Have you ever heard of a vegetable that acts like a direct command to your blood sugar? We are talking about white bitter melon. It is often called the white medicine of the garden. Most people know about the standard green bitter melon. It is famous in Asian cuisine and traditional medicine. But the green one has a huge problem. It is so incredibly bitter that most people simply cannot swallow it. Even if you know it is good for you, the taste makes you want to quit. This is where the white variety comes in and completely changes the game. It looks like a beautiful, bumpy white cucumber. But do not let its strange appearance fool you. Inside this pale vegetable is a powerhouse of nutrients. It contains the exact same blood sugar-lowering properties as the green one. The magic part is that the intense, mouth-puckering bitterness is almost entirely gone. It has a crisp, refreshing texture. It tastes mildly sweet and crunchy, somewhat like a green apple mixed with a cucumber. This means you can eat it every single day without cringing. You can get all the health benefits without the culinary torture. Imagine waking up, checking your levels, and seeing numbers that make your doctor smile. And you achieved it just by eating something delicious from your own backyard. This is not a distant dream. It is a very real possibility when you understand how this plant works. Let us dive into the exact science of why this white vegetable is a medical marvel. So what is the actual science behind this plant? It is not just an old wives' tale. White bitter melon contains three highly active compounds that fight high blood sugar. The first is called polypeptide P. This is literally a plant-based insulin. It functions incredibly similarly to the insulin your own pancreas produces. When you eat it, it helps shuttle glucose out of your blood and into your cells where it belongs. The second compound is charantin. Charantin specifically targets your liver, muscle, and fat tissues. It makes them more sensitive to insulin. This means your body uses the insulin it already has much more effectively. The third magic ingredient is visin. Visin works quietly in the background to suppress the sudden spikes in blood sugar that happen right after you eat a heavy meal. When you combine these three compounds, you get a powerful, natural response. Think of it as a three-pronged attack on diabetes. A great example of this is a recent study where patients drank a simple tea made from this melon. Within just 30 days, their fasting blood sugar numbers dropped significantly. It is like having a tiny pharmacist growing on a vine in your backyard. You do not need a prescription to harvest it. But remember, while this is powerful, you should always keep your doctor informed about what you are eating, especially if you are already taking medications. Now, let us tackle a very common myth right away. Many people believe you need a massive, sprawling farm to grow vegetables like this. This is completely false. White bitter melon is incredibly adaptable. You can absolutely grow this miracle plant even if you only have a tiny apartment balcony or a small concrete patio. The secret is container gardening. This plant actually loves growing in pots, as long as you follow a few basic rules. You will need a container that holds at least 5 gallons of soil. 10 gallons is even better. The bigger the pot, the more room the roots have to spread out and gather nutrients. More roots mean more white melons for your kitchen. Just ensure your container has plenty of drainage holes at the bottom. This plant hates having wet feet. If the roots sit in stagnant water, they will rot and the plant will die quickly. A great illustration of this is my friend who lives in a high-rise building in the city. She grew 3 beautiful white bitter melon plants in simple plastic buckets on her sunny balcony. She ended up harvesting over 20 melons in a single summer. That is enough natural medicine to last for months. So do not let a lack of yard space stop you. If you have a sunny corner and a decent-sized pot, you are already halfway there. You can absolutely be an urban farmer. Let us get into the very first practical step: sourcing and preparing your seeds. You cannot just walk into any hardware store and find white bitter melon seeds. You will likely need to order them online from specialty seed catalogs or Asian garden suppliers. Make sure you specifically search for the white variety, often labeled as white Goya or white pearl. Once you have your seeds, you will notice something interesting. The seeds have a very tough, thick outer shell. In nature, this shell protects the seed through harsh winters, but in your garden, it can make sprouting very difficult. If you just toss them in the dirt, you might wait weeks for them to sprout, or they might not sprout at all. Here is the professional trick to speed things up. You need to scarify and soak them. Take a pair of nail clippers and carefully snip off the very tiny, pointy tip of the seed. Do not cut too deep, just enough to break the hard shell. Then, drop the seeds into a glass of warm water. Let them soak for exactly 24 hours. This process mimics the spring rains and signals to the seed that it is time to wake up. When you pull them out of the water, they will be swollen and ready to burst into life. This simple extra step guarantees a germination rate of nearly 100%. It saves you time and frustration right from the start. Once your seeds are prepped, it is time to talk about the foundation of all life in your garden: the soil. White bitter melon is a heavy feeder. It needs a lot of energy to produce those big, beautiful fruits. You cannot just use cheap, heavy dirt from your yard. You need to create a custom mix that is rich, fluffy, and drains incredibly well. Think of it like baking a cake. You need the right ingredients. Start with a high-quality potting mix as your base. Then, you are going to add the magic ingredient, compost. Compost is broken down organic matter, and it is like black gold for your plants. Mix in about 30% compost into your soil. This provides a slow, steady release of nutrients over the entire growing season. Next, to ensure the soil stays fluffy and drains well, mix in some perlite. Perlite looks like little white foam balls. It creates tiny air pockets in the soil, allowing the roots to breathe. Bittermelon roots need oxygen just as much as they need water. If the soil is too dense, the plant will suffocate. Imagine trying to run a marathon while breathing through a tiny straw. That is what a plant feels like in bad soil. By creating a light, nutrient-dense mix, you are setting the stage for explosive growth. The better the soil, the stronger the medicine will be. Now we must discuss timing. Timing is absolutely critical when planting white bittermelon. This is a tropical plant. It originates from regions that are hot and humid. It absolutely despises the cold. If you plant it too early, a sudden chilly night will stunt its growth permanently, or worse, kill it outright. You must be patient. Wait until all danger of frost has completely passed in your area. Do not just look at the calendar, look at the soil. The soil temperature needs to be consistently above 65 degrees Fahrenheit before you even think about putting seeds or seedlings outside. If you live in a cooler climate, you should start your seeds indoors under grow lights about 4 weeks before your last frost date. Keep them in a warm, cozy room. When the weather outside finally warms up, you cannot just throw them into the garden. You have to harden them off. This means slowly introducing them to the harsh outdoor elements. Put them outside in the shade for just 2 hours on the first day, then bring them back inside. The next day, leave them out for 4 hours. Gradually increase their exposure to the sun and wind over a period of 7 days. This builds up their strength. It is exactly like training for an athletic event. If you rush it, they will go into shock and die. Let us talk about location and sunlight. Where you place your plant will determine how much medicine you ultimately harvest. White bittermelon is a sun worshipper. It requires a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of direct, unfiltered sunlight every single day. Less sun means fewer flowers. Fewer flowers mean fewer fruits. It is that simple. When you are choosing a spot in your garden or on your patio, observe the sun's path throughout the day. Avoid areas that are shaded by big trees or tall fences during the afternoon. The afternoon sun is the most powerful and the most beneficial for this crop. However, there is a small catch. If you live in an extremely hot climate like the deep southern states or the desert, the midsummer sun can sometimes be a bit too intense. In these extreme cases, a little bit of dappled shade during the hottest part of the afternoon can prevent the leaves from scorching. But for the vast majority of growers, full sun all day is the golden rule. Think of the sun as the battery charger for your plant. The more charge it gets, the faster it grows, and the more medicinal compounds it packs into every single melon. So find the brightest, warmest spot you have and claim it for your white bittermelon. Watering is the next crucial step. Watering seems simple, but it is actually where most beginner gardeners fail. White bittermelon has a very specific preference when it comes to moisture. It likes to be consistently moist, but it hates being soaking wet. If you water it too lightly, the water only wets the surface and the deep roots dry out. If you water it too much, the roots will rot. The secret is deep, infrequent watering. You want to water the plant thoroughly until you see water draining out of the bottom of the pot, or until the garden soil is wet several inches down. Then, you must wait. Do not water it again until the top 2 inches of the soil feel completely dry to the touch. Stick your finger into the dirt. If it feels wet, walk away. If it feels dry, it is time to water. In the peak of summer, when the plant is huge and producing fruit, you might need to water it every single day. But in the cooler days of spring, once a week might be enough. The best time to water is early in the morning. This gives the plant plenty of time to drink before the hot sun hits, and it allows the leaves to dry off during the day. Wet leaves overnight are an open invitation for fungal diseases, so water the soil, not the leaves, and always check the moisture level first. If there is one non-negotiable rule for growing white bitter melon, it is this: you must build a trellis. This plant is a vigorous, aggressive, climbing vine. It is not a bush. If you let it crawl along the ground, you are asking for a disaster. The vines will become a tangled, messy jungle. Bugs will eat the leaves. Diseases will spread from the damp soil, and the fruits will rot before you can harvest them. You need to train this plant to grow vertically. Getting it up off the ground changes everything. It improves air circulation, which prevents mildew. It exposes the leaves to more sunlight, and most importantly, it lets the heavy fruits hang straight down. When they hang down, they grow straight, beautiful, and clean. You can build a trellis out of almost anything. You can use bamboo poles, wooden stakes, or a wire cattle panel. Even a sturdy chain-link fence works perfectly. Just make sure the structure is strong. A full-grown vine, loaded with 10 or 15 heavy melons, can weigh quite a bit. A flimsy trellis will collapse in a strong wind. Start training the vine up the trellis when it is about 1 foot tall. Gently tie the main stem to the support using soft garden twine. Within a few weeks, its natural tendrils will grab hold and it will climb toward the sky like magic. Now, let us discuss a secret technique that separates the amateurs from the pros. Pruning. Most people are terrified to cut their plants. They think it will hurt them. But pruning is actually how you force the plant to give you a massive harvest. Here is the trick. The main, central vine of the bitter melon plant is designed to grow very long. But the main vine does not produce the most fruit. The fruit actually grows best on the lateral vines. These are the side branches that shoot off the main stem. So, how do we encourage more side branches? By snipping off the top. When your main vine reaches the top of your trellis, take your scissors and cut the very tip off. This is called topping the plant. When you do this, the plant stops putting energy into growing taller. Instead, it panics and sends all its energy into growing those side branches. Suddenly, your single vine becomes a thick, bushy wall of leaves. More side branches mean more flowers, and more flowers mean a much larger harvest. You should also prune away the lowest leaves near the soil. Cut off any leaves in the bottom 12 inches of the plant. This prevents soil-borne diseases from splashing up onto the leaves when you water. It keeps the plant clean and focused on producing your medicine above. Let us talk about feeding your plant. Just like a high-performance athlete, your white bitter melon needs a specific diet to perform at its best. We already added compost to the soil, but as the plant grows massive and starts pumping out fruit, it will need a boost. You should fertilize it every 14 days. But you cannot just use any random fertilizer. The nutrient needs of the plant change as it grows. In the beginning, when the vine is just climbing the trellis, it needs nitrogen. Nitrogen promotes green, leafy growth. You can use an organic liquid fish emulsion for this stage. It smells terrible, but the plants absolutely love it. However, once you see the first yellow flowers appear, you must switch your strategy. If you keep giving it high nitrogen, you will get a giant, beautiful vine with zero fruit. When flowers appear, Switch to a fertilizer that is high in phosphorus and potassium. These are the nutrients that tell the plant to stop growing leaves and start making babies. A fertilizer designed for tomatoes or vegetables is usually perfect. Always use organic fertilizers if possible. Remember, you are growing this plant to improve your health. You do not want to pump it full of synthetic chemicals that you will eventually eat. Feed it naturally, and it will heal you naturally. Here is a fascinating part of the process that surprises many new gardeners: the birds and the bees. White bittermelon plants produce two different types of flowers, male flowers and female flowers. You need both to get fruit. The male flowers usually appear first. They have a plain, thin stem behind the yellow petals. A few days later, the female flowers will bloom. You can easily identify a female flower because it has a tiny, miniature green melon growing right behind the petals. It is adorable. For a fruit to grow, the pollen from the male flower must be transferred to the female flower. In nature, bees and butterflies do this job. But if you live in a city, or if you do not have many bees around, your female flowers will just shrivel up and fall off. This is a tragedy. But do not worry, you can easily become the bee. This is called hand pollination. It is simple and highly effective. Take a small, soft paintbrush or a cotton swab. Gently rub it inside the male flower to collect the yellow pollen. Then, immediately rub that pollen onto the sticky center of the female flower. Do this early in the morning when the flowers are wide open. By doing this quick 10-second task, you guarantee that every single female flower turns into a large, healthy white melon. Even in the best gardens, you will eventually face some uninvited guests: pests. It is a fact of nature. But because we are growing medicine, we want to avoid toxic pesticides at all costs. The most common enemy of the white bitter melon is the aphid. Aphids are tiny, soft-bodied insects that gather in large clusters on the undersides of the leaves. They literally suck the sap and life right out of the plant. If left unchecked, they will destroy your crop. But there is a very easy, natural way to defeat them. As soon as you spot aphids, grab a spray bottle. Mix 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed neem oil and a few drops of mild liquid dish soap into a quart of warm water. Shake it up well. Spray this mixture directly onto the aphids, making sure to coat the undersides of the leaves. Neem oil is a natural extract from a tree. It coats the bugs and stops them from feeding, but it is completely safe for humans and pets. You might need to spray every 3 days until the infestation is gone. Another pest to watch for is the fruit fly. They lay eggs inside the growing melons. To stop them, you can wrap the young fruits in small, breathable mesh bags while they grow on the vine. It looks a bit funny, but it works perfectly to keep the bugs out. Aside from bugs, you also need to protect your plant from invisible enemies, fungal diseases. The most common issue with bitter melon is called powdery mildew. It looks exactly like someone dusted your plant with white flour. It usually starts on the older, lower leaves and quickly spreads upwards. Powdery mildew thrives in humid conditions with poor airflow. This is exactly why we built that trellis earlier. But if you still see those white powdery spots, you must act fast. Do not ignore it, or the leaves will turn brown and die, halting your harvest. A fantastic, completely natural remedy is a simple milk spray. Yes, ordinary cow's milk from your refrigerator. Mix 1 part milk with 2 parts water in a spray bottle. Spray it generously all over the affected leaves, preferably in the bright sunshine. The proteins in the milk react with the sun to create a natural antiseptic that burns away the fungus. It is a brilliant, old-school gardening trick that really works. Also, always remember to clean up any dead or fallen leaves around the base of the plant. Decaying leaves are breeding grounds for spores. Keep the area tidy, ensure the plant gets lots of sun, and use your milk spray at the first sign of trouble. This will keep your plant green and healthy all summer. Finally, we arrive at the most rewarding part of the whole process, the harvest. But knowing exactly when to pick your white bitter melon is crucial. If you pick it too early, it will be too small and lack the fully developed medicinal compounds. If you wait too long, it turns spongy, the seeds get hard, and the flesh becomes mushy. It loses that wonderful crisp texture. The perfect time to harvest is when the melon is about 6 to 8 inches long. The bumpy skin should be firm to the touch and have a bright pearly white or very pale green color. Do not wait for it to turn yellow. If a bitter melon starts turning yellow or orange, it means it is overripe. The plant thinks its job is done and it will stop producing new flowers. To keep the plant producing, you must harvest frequently. Check the vines every 2 days. When you see a perfect melon, do not just pull it. You will tear the vine. Take a sharp pair of scissors or pruning shears and cut the stem about an inch above the fruit. By harvesting regularly, you are sending a signal to the plant that it needs to keep working. A single, healthy vine can produce continuously for 2 to 3 months if you keep picking the fruits at the perfect stage. Now that you have a basket full of these beautiful white melons, how do you store them? They do not last forever on the kitchen counter. If you leave them out at room temperature, they will ripen rapidly, turn yellow, and split open within a few days. To preserve that crisp texture and the vital blood sugar-lowering compounds, you need to use the refrigerator. Do not wash the melons until you are ready to eat them. Moisture encourages rot. Simply wrap each unwashed melon loosely in a dry paper towel. This absorbs any excess condensation. Then, place them in a plastic bag, leave the bag slightly open for airflow, and put them in the crisper drawer of your fridge. Stored this way, they will stay fresh and crunchy for about 10 to 14 days. If you have an absolute bumper crop and cannot eat them all, you can freeze them. Slice the melon in half, scoop out the seeds, and slice the flesh into thin half-moons. Blanch them in boiling water for exactly 1 minute, then plunge them into ice water. Dry them thoroughly and put them in freezer bags. They will lose their crispness, but they will retain all their medicinal value. You can drop these frozen slices directly into soups or stir-fries in the middle of winter. Before you eat all your harvest, you need to think about next year. You have found a great variety that grows well in your yard, so you should save the seeds. This saves you money and ensures you have a continuous supply of medicine. To save seeds, you have to break the harvesting rule we just discussed. You must sacrifice 1 perfect melon and leave it on the vine. Let it stay there until it turns completely yellow, then bright orange. It will eventually split open at the bottom, revealing bright red, sticky seeds inside. This means the seeds are fully mature. Cut the orange melon down and scoop out those red seeds. Now you need to clean them. Put them in a jar with a little water and let them sit on the counter for 3 days. This ferments the sticky red coating, making it easy to wash off. After 3 days, rinse the seeds in a strainer. You will be left with clean, hard seeds. Spread them out on a paper plate and let them dry in a cool, dark room for 2 weeks. Do not dry them in the sun or you will cook them. Once they are bone dry, put them in an envelope, label it with the year, and store it in a cool drawer. You now have your own private seed bank ready for next spring. Now, let us move from the garden into the kitchen. Even though the white variety is incredibly mild compared to the green one, it does have a very faint, lingering, earthy taste. Some people love it, but if you want it to be absolutely 0% bitter, there is a legendary culinary trick you must know. It is called the salt rub. First, slice the ends off the melon. cut it in half lengthwise. Take a spoon and scrape out the white, cotton-like pith and the seeds in the center. The pith is where any remaining bitterness hides, so scrape it clean. Next, slice the melon into thin, bite-sized pieces. Place all the slices into a bowl and sprinkle a generous handful of salt over them. Massage the salt into the slices with your hands for about a minute. Now, walk away and let it sit for 20 minutes. When you come back, you will see a pool of green liquid at the bottom of the bowl. The salt acts like a magnet, drawing out the moisture and every last drop of bitterness. Pour off the liquid, rinse the slices thoroughly under cold running water to remove the salt, and squeeze them dry with a towel. Your white, bitter melon is now perfectly prepped. It is crisp, neutral in flavor, and ready to absorb any sauce or seasoning you cook it with. So, what is the best way to consume this prepared melon to get the maximum blood sugar benefits? The most popular and delicious method is a quick stir-fry. Because it is so crisp, it cooks beautifully in just a few minutes. Heat a little sesame oil in a pan, toss in some minced garlic, and add your prepared melon slices. Stir-fry them over high heat for about 3 minutes until they soften slightly but retain a crunch. You can add a splash of soy sauce or toss in some scrambled eggs and tofu for a complete low-carb meal. The mild flavor of the white melon absorbs the garlic and soy sauce perfectly. You will not even realize you are eating a powerful medicine. It just tastes like a gourmet Asian dish. If you do not want to cook, you can actually eat it raw in salads. Toss the salted and rinsed slices with some tomatoes, cucumbers, and a light vinaigrette. It adds a wonderful crunch. Another incredibly potent method is making tea. You can slice the melon thin, dry the slices in a dehydrator or a low oven, and then steep them in hot water. Drinking a cup of this white, bitter melon tea right before a meal is a fantastic way to prepare your body to handle the incoming carbohydrates. The options are endless once you remove that bitter barrier. Let us summarize why this is such a life-changing project. We are not just talking about growing a random vegetable. We are talking about cultivating a natural, clinically recognized tool for managing your health. By choosing the white variety, you bypass the awful taste that stops most people from using this remedy. By following the container and trellis methods, you can grow it anywhere, from a farm to a high-rise balcony. You know how to start the stubborn seeds, feed them the right nutrients, and protect them from pests using safe, natural methods like milk and neem oil. You even know the chef's secret to salting away any trace of earthy flavor. Imagine the empowerment of walking out your back door, snipping a beautiful white vegetable from a vine you nurtured, and knowing that eating it will actively help lower your blood sugar. It is a profound connection between nature and your well-being. It saves you money. It gets you outside in the sunshine, and it provides a chemical-free way to support your body's insulin response. The white, bitter melon truly is the ultimate backyard medicine. It is time to stop fearing the bitter taste and start harvesting the sweet rewards of good health. And there you have it, the complete guide to growing the medical marvel that is the white, bitter melon. It is truly amazing to think that such a powerful tool for regulating blood sugar has been hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to plant it. The realization that you do not need to suffer through a terrible bitter taste to get the medicinal benefits is the real plot twist here. By mastering these simple gardening steps, from that initial seed soak to the final salt rub in the kitchen, you are literally growing your own health insurance. You are taking control of your well-being right from your own soil. I hope this video has inspired you to grab a pot, get some seeds, and start your own medicinal garden today. Thank you so much for watching and learning with us. If you found this information valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss our deep dives into natural health and gardening secrets. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the one vegetable you have always wanted to grow but were too intimidated to try? Drop your answers in the comments below and let's get a conversation started.